Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to this night-ending bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button. Takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click the bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this night-ending bonus upload, shall we? I want to start the upload off with the scientific information, and the second that I read this, I instantly knew that I had to share it with you all. There's been numerous times that I come across really interesting scientific evidence on stuff and just share it because it fits. It fits in this channel. It fits in what we discuss. And it really does belong in this kind of field. You know, we talk about dogmen. We talk about Bigfoot, crawlers, werewolves, DUMBs, deep underground military bases, for those of you who don't know. Alien Agenda, NWO. Etc., etc. So I felt like this would fit quite well right here. 3,000-year-old tomb of a shaman who may have meditated between spiritual and earthly worlds, found in Peru. Archaeologists in Peru have discovered a 3,000-year-old tomb containing the remains of a priest/shaman buried with a depiction of a jaguar near the city of Cajamarca. The burial was found at the Paco Pampa Archaeological Complex, which contains multiple ancient burials, and archaeologists from Peru and Japan have been excavating since 2005. Peru's Ministry of Culture said in a translated statement, the priest's burial contains 3 ceramic stamps that have images engraved on them, including a jaguar, according to the statement. These stamps may have been used for body painting. The archaeologists also found decorated ceramics in the tomb. The priest's face was covered with red cinnabar, a naturally occurring substance that would have been hard to obtain as it had to be transported from the mountain. Cinnabar is believed to have originated in the central Andean highlands, and we believe that the only elite could have obtained and used by a large distance trade. Yuji Seki, an archaeologist with Japan's National Museum of Ethnology and co-director of the archaeological team, told Live Science in an email. The team called the individual a priest in the statement, but this person may have been more like a shaman-like figure who manipulated the powers of the jaguar, the snake, and the birds of prey. Like a shaman, Seki said. People may have turned to the shaman for answers or for help healing, and the shaman may have used his believed connection to the spiritual world to assist them. In other words, He must have had the ability to meditate between these spiritual and earthly worlds. The stamps found in the tomb may have been symbols of authority, he adds. The team has not yet done a radiocarbon dating, but the style of the artifacts matches the design of other artifacts found in the region that have been dated about 3,000 years old. Archaeologists not involved in the finding called it an interesting discovery, but cautioned that it's too early to call this individual a priest. The materials found with the individual include seals for the body painting, the complete ceramic vessels, suggesting that the person was early elite, said Jason Nisbet, an associate professor of archaeology at the Tulane University, who has conducted extensive archaeological research in Peru. I'm looking forward to more detailed info about the actual skeleton, including data about age and sex, as the project analysis moves forward, Nisbet told Live Science in an email. So another thing of interest that I wanted to include is just within 6 months, we have had a lot of information coming out of Peru. The media covered attack on a village by a large upright canine. Per the news media, they shared that with us. Unfortunately, I cannot share the video clip that had gone around on the internet for a little while. I'm glad I printed it out and saved it all because it is gone. The link that I had saved was taken down, so I actually saved the video and the article along with it, which is strange because why would they take it down? And then probably about a year ago, there was caves found with claw marks all through them, on the ceiling, on the walls, on the floors, with some very strange kind of hieroglyphs, I guess, of a large werewolf-looking creature, per the article that I had read. More or less a Dogman. And they believe that early humans used that cave to trap the creatures in the cave. I don't know. I found it pretty interesting. But, there's a lot of stuff coming out of Peru right now. And it all has a lot to do with what we look at on this channel. And I just figured this was pretty interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But anyway, let's jump into the subscriber submitted experience that really corresponds or really goes hand in hand with a media covered air quote bear attack in the early 2000s. So the subscriber submitted experience and information also contained links to the attack that I'm going to share with you right now. And I'm going to share the attacks that were in the media first, and then share the subscriber submitted information. I'm going to have to be real delicate with some of the information that I share or don't share in the email, though, because there was an NDA signed, which is a non-disclosure. So, Chilhowee bear attack kills child. Thursday, April 13th, 2006. A black bear attacked a family of 3 in Polk County, Tennessee, killing a 6-year-old girl and seriously injuring a 2-year-old boy and the child's mother. They had been airlifted to the Erlanger Medical Center and were listed in critical condition. I actually talked about this attack. I had mentioned this about 2 weeks ago. The attack happened late Thursday afternoon in the Cherokee National Forest at the Chilhowee campground. The family was visiting from Ohio, according to Dan Hicks, a spokesperson with the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. It was around 4 p.m. when a bear walked up to the family near Baton Falls. Everyone started throwing rocks and yelling at the bear to get away, go away. Instead, the bear picked up the 2-year-old boy and began to maul him. The boy's mother beat the bear off her son, and she was attacked. During the confusion, 6-year-old girl ran away. The bear ran away as well. A search began for the little girl. She was found dead 100 yards away. Hicks said her injuries were consistent with that of a bear attack. The bear was still in the area and was fired on by officers. However, they were not sure if the bear was wounded or not, and the hunt for the bear continues. Attacks on humans by black bear are extremely rare. In May of 2000, a 50-year-old woman was killed in the Great Smokies. As far as we know, this is the first fatal attack in the Southwest, said Nancy Gray, a spokesperson for the park at the time. It's very rare for a black bear. They're just not as aggressive as grizzly. In that case, park rangers killed 2 black bears found near the body of Galinda Bradley after they were notified of the attack. There are only 52 known fatal attacks by black bear in North America in the last 100 years. That article came out of TripAdvisor. For if anybody wanted to go camp at the Chilhowee campground, TripAdvisor lists certain things. But I had talked about this attack, and this blew me away when I received this email. Bear kills child at the Chilhowee Mountain 17 years ago. Just a warning for those visiting the Smokies to be careful around bears. Attack by black bear leaves 1 dead, 6-year-old killed, 2 others injured in Polk County. By Ben Benton and Mike O'Neill, staff writer. 1 child was killed and 2 family members were hospitalized after a bear attack Thursday afternoon on the Chilhowee Mountain in Polk County, Tennessee, according to Cherokee National Forest spokeswoman Nina Burrow. The attack occurred at 4:20 p.m., according to Polk County dispatcher Gary Verner. 6-year-old girl was killed and her 45-year-old mother and 2-year-old brother were mauled by the bear, according to Dan Hicks of Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. They suffered a lot of puncture wound injuries consistent of that of a bear attack, Mr. Hicks stated. The attack took place about 1.5 miles from the Chilhowee campground. It was off the trail to the Benton Falls, where some kids had seen a bear earlier. He said the boy was taken by Life Force helicopter to T.C. Thompson Child's Hospital, while the adult was taken to the Erlanger Hospital by ambulance. Hospital officials said on Thursday evening both mother and son were in critical condition. About 50 to 60 people assisted the county rescue squad in search for the little girl who had been missing earlier in the day. Cherokee National Forest Public Affairs Officer Terry McDonald said federal authorities were investigating the attack. They closed the campground. They were getting everyone out. Search continued into the night on Chilhowee Mountain, but Mr. Hicks said the bear had not been found as of 10:30 p.m. Chilhowee Recreation Area of the Cherokee National Forest has 88 campsites and numerous trails surrounding it. Bear attacks are rare in the area, but they do happen. In May of 2000, a 50-year-old Cosby, Tennessee schoolteacher became the first known to die from a bear attack in the history of the Great Smokies, according to previous published reports. That attack happened near Gatlinburg, Tennessee, where Galinda Ann Bradley was presumed to have taken a walk near the Little River when she was attacked by 2 female black bears. Officials said one adult bear weighing 112 pounds and a yearling weighing 40 pounds were found near the woman's body. The larger of the 2 bears were tagged for research purposes and was said by officials not to have shown any aggressive tendencies before the attack. All right, so that was the media released information on the attack. This is what was shared by a subscriber, and it's pretty intense. NDAs were signed. There's going to be a couple of times that I skip over something because I can't share it, and you'll see why. Hi, Jeff. I've been a subscriber for several months now. I've been waiting for the right time to send this info to you. This is the 3rd time I've heard you speak to cover-ups in Tennessee, so I figured now is as good a time as any. Odds are nothing will change in the near future as far as the government coming clean. Please do not reveal our names or any specifics of our lives. If you did, it would be easy to figure out the source. NDAs were signed by the Rangers and law enforcement involved in the case, and they are still enforceable. This was a requirement in order for these men to keep their jobs. We are from Polk County. Polk County is a large county. However, the Cherokee National Forest makes up almost half of the county's landmass and lays claim to just under 49% of the county. Because of this, the county's population does not reflect its size. In 2021, the population was just a little over 17,000, with Benton bringing in right about 1,500. Benton's a small town. Everyone knows everyone. They know who your parents are and who their parents were. Most of the citizens feel it's their business to know everyone's business. There's 1 red light, 2 gas stations, 1 grocery store, and at the time, 11 forest rangers to cover the entire county, and 3, maybe 4 game wardens. The attack occurred on the Chillahui Mountain, aka Benton Mountain. My husband had been working this day, but not on that mountain. He was working elsewhere in the county, but was called to the location soon as the attack had been reported. He arrived within minutes. The following was told to me by my husband, and I can still recall it to this day almost word for word. When he arrived on the scene, he said there was so much chaos. They were told a little boy and the mother had been attacked by something, and the little girl was missing. They were told the attacker was a large black creature and it was on 2 legs, so they immediately assumed it was a black bear, although they are a rarity in the area, and for the most part, black bears did not attack humans unless it was a female or cubs. Even then, the mama bear was more bluster and bluff than actual bite. My husband did not see the little boy nor the mother. They were airlifted. While my husband was at his truck getting ready to go, one of the veteran paramedics who worked search and rescue out of another county came over and told my husband that he has treated several bear attacks over his lengthy career, and neither injury nor the scene were consistent with any bear attack he'd ever seen. He was speaking very low and was looking around while he was speaking to my husband, as if he was making sure no one was listening to him or watching him speak to my husband. It was only then that my husband took notice of the people on the scene, and he noticed there were several men and 2 women he had never seen there before. He said he just assumed they may be upper tier TWRA officials or someone associated with the sheriff's department. After he was ready to go, he picked up his paperwork and camera and walked toward the area of the attacks. After all, this was his job. He'd have to file paperwork on the incident. As he continued toward the area, he noticed that it was taped off. However, he recognized no one securing the scene. When one of the men on the outside of the tape noticed that he was coming that way, he began walking toward my husband and held up both his hands. He told my husband not to come any closer. My husband started to say something, and the guy said, "This one's above your pay grade, buddy." When asked what that meant, the man told him to call his supervisor, but he was not to come any closer. So he turned and back to his truck. At this time, the Forest Service mainly communicated by radio because cell phones they had would not get reception back in the area they had to patrol. Picked up his radio to get in touch with his supervisor, who was supposed to be on his way to the area. At the same time, he's attempting to raise his supervisor on the radio. The supervisor called him to tell him to stay clear of the actual scene, as he would not be required to file paperwork. In all the years he had worked there, this had never happened. He said it was at that moment that he realized something was seriously off, and that they had already began to cover it up. He just couldn't figure out what they were trying to hide. It didn't take him long to figure that out. Within the next hour, 2 Suburbans arrived, with 6 men in each one. These men were wearing camouflage. They had weapons, but they were not military. Each local official was basically instructed to search with these men. It wasn't until these men arrived they were permitted to begin searching. They were told they could not begin the search until backup arrived. All Forest Service personnel on site were armed with a sidearm. They also had shotguns they had kept in their truck. My husband had a sidearm at all times and always had a Remington 870 in his work vehicle. The deputies were also armed. My husband said all totaled there were 12 to 15 armed officers on the scene, yet they were made to wait because someone in the know did not feel this was enough manpower/firepower for one black bear. Once they began the search, contrary to what was reported by some of the news channels and articles, it took several hours to find the little girl. The news report said that the bear was killed by rangers that same day. Other reports stated it was a second bear which was killed that was responsible for the attack. As far as my husband was aware, no bear nor any sign of bear was ever found. After they found the child, they heard 2 rangers on the radio state that some strange tracks had been found, but they were not consistent with bear tracks. Once these tracks were found, local law enforcement was immediately dismissed at this point. The search was left up to the gentlemen that arrived in the Suburbans. Some other conflicting reports were the little girl was found 100 yards away from the original attack site. However, she was not found near the site. It took several hours to find her. Many reports stated that there were 60 to 80 volunteers there. However, in the area they felt they might find the little girl, no civilians were allowed. I will attempt to link a couple of the articles, which I just read previously. One of the child's remains were found. What little they actually found was not routed the normal way, nor per protocol or policy. My husband could not find out what they did with what was left of her. That's as far as I will take that. But I will say my husband did not sleep at all after that for the next 5 days. Once he could close his eyes, he was unable to sleep for 2 to 3 hours per night for several months. When he did sleep, he would wake up in cold sweats, and then he would cry for hours. We'd be in the grocery store, or restaurant, or church, or at the movies, or he'd even be mowing the grass no matter what he was doing. I would often catch him just staring off, crying. It was like his soul had been broken and crushed. For a couple of years, he withdrew from himself to the point where he required therapy. I wasn't sure I would ever get my husband back. I can say I ever did get him back, who began that shift April 16th, 2006. That man was not the man who came back home the next morning. But after all was said and done, he survived and we survived. He was treated at times like he had committed a crime by the higher-ups. If he was discovered looking into the case, his camera was taken, along with his voice recorder. Although he, along with several others, were required to sign an NDA in order to remain employed, at times we both felt as though it was possible our home telephone had been monitored. Clicks and irritating static that would increase and decrease during our conversations. They weren't subtle or quiet. Had it only been my husband who heard these things, I might have thought he was paranoia, but I, along with our other family members, also heard them. This went on for a couple years until we all stopped using a landline. We had to keep that line as it's required for his job, but one day, thank goodness, he finally decided it was time to move on and say goodbye to the landline. He currently works as an environmental engineer for a chemical company. He loves his job and is doing very well with his company. I wish I could say everything else worked out itself, but he is still very adamant I do not hike solo, or that I do not run or walk alone, especially close to dusk. I am happy to say he does sleep much better most nights. In my opinion of the state and federal government is pretty low. They know what is out there, yet they continue to try and keep it a secret, putting more and more people in danger. I feel there was a point when they had some control over these creatures, but now I feel as if the populations have exploded and are becoming more difficult to keep under wraps. I don't think it will be very long before we hear the same sort of disclosure we are given regarding these so-called UFOs. Thank you for taking time to look at this. I just wanted to get this off my chest, and my husband agrees. Even though there have been no other attacks in the area, people should know. From time to time, there will be rumors of sightings of a large black creature walking or running on two legs, floating around. Once they start, it seems they will close the trails and campgrounds for maintenance. My husband also started hunting and fishing again. He usually goes with one of his former colleagues from the Forest Service. They keep him updated. He also will come by from time to time when he has something important to talk to my husband about and doesn't want to talk or text on the cell phone. Him not wanting to talk on the phone makes it seem that not much has changed. I'm quite sure the same creature that was lurking in that area so many years ago still shows up, although infrequently. Now, just so we don't forget, thank you again for all your work you put into your channel. We appreciate it very much. It gives us hope. And there you have it, folks. I do hope you all enjoyed this night ending bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.